After Illinois, these states could legalize recreational marijuana next. Last year was truly memorable for the cannabis movement. After decades of, we also witnessed history made in other aspects of the marijuana movement. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration legalized its first ever cannabis-derived drug. Support for legalization hit an all-time high, and more states than ever have waved the green flag on weed from a medical and/or adult use perspective, with 33 medical marijuana legal states, 10 of which also allow adult consumption. Illinois is set to become the 11th state to legalize recreational weed. A little more than a week ago, the Illinois legislature overwhelmingly voted in favor of House Bill 1438, which is a measure that will legalize recreational marijuana throughout the land of Lincoln by January 1, 2020. The bill allows adults, as with the other 10 states and Washington, D.C., to have given the green. In addition, HB 1438 contains a provision to help expunge marijuana offenses for persons convicted of possessing a small amount of the drug that were not associated with violence, and notes that this could lead to 770,000 Illinois residents having their convictions expunged. Although no timeline was laid out as to when government Pritzker would sign. In terms of multi-state dispensaries, this is a potentially solid win for MedMen Enterprises. MedMen, with Illinois set for launch in a little under 7 months, the big question now becomes what states are next to say yes to recreational cannabis? New Jersey and New York? Maybe in 2020 would be New Jersey and New York, both of which have advanced legislation to legalize adult-use marijuana. Unfortunately, in March, New Jersey looked like a near sure thing to legalize, with Democratic government. Phil Murphy and it was a similar story in New York, where social issues held up the inclusion of recreational cannabis legislation in the state's budget, which was due at the beginning of April. Both states are good candidates to advance legislation in 2020 that could lead to recreational legalization. Ohio ballot initiative in 2019, pending an official review. In 2019, the best chance to legalize recreational marijuana may come from Ohio. The Buckeye State. The reason ID suggests that Ohio has the best path to legalization is simply because the American public has demonstrated broader support for legalizing marijuana than lawmakers, either at the state or federal level. If a ballot initiative, but ID also cautioned that nothing is guaranteed. Even IFA in 2015, Ohioans voted on Issue 3, which was the first and only all-in-one legalization measure in the country that would have approved medical and recreational weed at the same time. Despite growing, Ohio would be another feather in the cap for MedMen, which will gain exposure to the Buckeye State as well once its Pharmac purchase has closed. Arizona and Florida ballot initiatives expected in 2020. If no other states winding up legalizing recreational weed in 2019, then all eyes in 2020 will likely turn to Arizona and/or Florida not for vacation purposes. Arizona, with the measure narrowly failing by about 2 percentage points. However, the Florida medical marijuana industry has been such an overwhelming success that it seems only logical to see a recreational pot measure make its way to the ballot by November 2020. This is a bit more. No matter which state follows in the footsteps of Illinois, the fact remains that marijuana is a budding industry that rightly has the attention of opportunistic investors. This article originally appeared on USA Today.
Raindrop, truck top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.